Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour of our show on this Tuesday. Hey, Thursday, we're going to be joined by Dragon men's basketball head coach Jason Kemp. That night, the Dragons are going to take on the Bison in a men's basketball exhibition game up at the Shack. So we got two Dragon coaches on this week because we got Kemp coming up Thursday, and we have our usual Tuesday appearance. I hope you don't feel upstage. We're going to have another Dragon coach on the show. Are you all right with that?
I think that's great. I was more just pondering our usual guests. I was like, can we come up with a little bit more exciting?
Well, I didn't know what you were going to do with yourself last week. You haven't had a bye week, you told me, in 20 years. So what did you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Did a lot of Halloween preparation.
I'm sure you're ready for Halloween. Yes.
Yeah, definitely didn't do that. We got our guys, I think, in a really good spot. We were in a situation where I think we didn't have a lot of tread left on the tires, and so a week to kind of recover and rest was awesome. I think for our guys playing, we ended up doing a JV scrimmage on Wednesday with the University of Jamestown, and I'd never been around anything like that, and I know it's kind of an NAIA thing. And at first, when we started talking about it, I was like, well, it's not Division II, but when you get the 4-game rule for freshmen, it opens up some doors where you're like, okay, that can be one of their games. And so we had a great little kind of game without special teams. It was awesome. Had a lot of parents that came to it, got guys to get in the game, and it felt like a game. And I think our older guys were cheering it on. It was a really cool experience. I think it helped break that bye week up. Guys had the weekend off, and I think we had a really good practice yesterday. There was kind of a new kind of enthusiasm and excitement, kind of almost like week one again.
It's new for the guys as well because they haven't gone through it. So how different is that approaching this week? Okay, we got to get right back into it, and we got a big game on Saturday.
Well, we tried to get this schedule back to as normal as possible and say, okay, hey, we didn't start anything early where we're ahead and we're like, hey, this is a Monday, but it's really like a Tuesday. We just said, hey, when we show up Monday, slate's clean. It's just like any other week, and let's go. We did the same type of things. And so I think that helped the routine of it. And then hopefully, as a practice unload, every Tuesday is kind of the same and Wednesday's the same. So I think the guys will be in the flow and we'll be ready to play.
So you're going down to Aberdeen and Northern State, and Northern has transformed its football program with that stadium down there that's a few years old. They're 5-2. I'm trying to get a read on them, Steve. They lost to Bemidji, which was odd because Bemidji's had a scuffling year. What do we make of what the team you're going to see in the Wolves on Saturday?
Well, I think they're a really good football team. If you can't really compare scores, and you do, but you don't. And you're like, well, if you look at the teams that they've played and we've played, they've fared better than the ones we haven't played Bemidji yet. And so, you know what, Bemidji has started to find their rhythm since that game, and some quarterback changes and some adjustments on offense. And so they're playing good football. They beat Wayne, which we didn't beat. They beat Duluth, which we didn't beat. And so, Duluth at the time was undefeated, one of the only 2 undefeated teams in the conference, and they take it to them. The score looks close, but really they had it until a late score and an onside kick and a little bit, but they played that game great. They've got Augie, who's the only other undefeated team, coming up right after us. And so they're putting a good season together. They're undefeated at home in that stadium. And so we're going into a situation where they're going blackout. And so they're going to have the crowd there. They know what's at stake. We know it's a tough place to play. They took it to us the last time we were there back in 22. And so our guys are going to have to rise to the occasion and play great football. But that's what it is at this time of year. There's 4 games to go. There's 2 5-2 teams going at it. These are 2 good football teams, and we have to play really good football. And it's going to be an exciting environment.
It's a night game. How does that change up routine for you guys this weekend? It's a 6:00 kick down there.
Well, it doesn't change a ton. You try and stay as much on routine as you can. So it's a little bit later for our walkthrough. We travel the day of to that trip. So to us, it's very similar to the Southwest trip. There's going to be a lot of carryover. So we've done that. I think the difference is now you're in end of October playing a night game. It's going to be a than maybe it was when we played the second week of the year at Southwest at night. And so there's some of those things to take into effect. But I think our guys have played some night games this year. I think this is our 3rd or 4th night game. So I think we're going to be okay with that. We just got to show up and play great football.
All right, so out of the bye here, there are no surprises anymore, especially this late in the season. So, is this a game you try to throw the kitchen sink, like, okay, we're going to try some different stuff, knowing full well you have 7 games on tape for Northern to look at?
Well, I think it was good for us in the bye week to take a step back and look at all the things we've done offensively and defensively. Instead of getting in, hey, we got to finish this game, go to the next game. What's the game plan? We could really pull back and say, hey, let's look at what are we doing really well and why, and what are we not doing well and why, and then let's make the tweaks to either make that stuff better or let's just not do it and get to a different piece, or we've got to grow an area. So it gave us a chance to step back, reflect, and say, hey, where do our schemes need to kind of morph and grow? And so I think then we got a chance last week to kind of work some of those priority areas that we figured out. And, so hopefully, yeah, I think we're going to be the same team, but do I think we're a more focused, better put together team? Yeah, I think we're going to be schematically, and I think that'll help us.
This Northern team, what is their trademark? What do they bring to the table on Saturday?
Well, they're really good on both sides of the football in particular, but offensively, they're playing an up-tempo style. Their running back is phenomenal. And they can run the ball so well, and then they force you to get extra guys to defend the run, and they've got playmakers that can win one-on-one, and so it's a tough combination. You've got to be able to top the run without having to put all the guys in there, because you just leave your DBs on an island. Defensively, they do a great job of getting pressure with their forefront guys. They're long, they're rangy, and the back end DBs, they cover a lot of ground. And so it's a difficult matchup for O-line. It's a difficult matchup, very similar, I think, to a Wayne type style defense in that matchup. And so we've got to learn some things, because we certainly didn't get it done offensively against Wayne. We've got to learn some things that we've picked up through the year, and we've got to be able to execute at a high level. So I think it's going to be a really good football team. I'm excited for it. I think the bye week it gets you renewed. You're like, yeah, this is what it's about. This is what you're excited to play in, and let's go attack it, and let's have fun with it.
I have this question I haven't asked you, and I'm curious your answer on this. Gage is climbing up the leaderboard. I think he's going to get there to become the all-time leading receiver in Division II history. Would he have gotten there, Steve, if Jack Strand was not his quarterback? If somebody else was throwing the football, do you still think he would be this productive a player?
Well, I think he still is a really good football player. I think one of the things we found with Jack is he's a special player. He's really good. And so we're trying to leverage that strength, right? If you have a Steph Curry on your team, you want him to shoot the ball. Yep. So I think some of it, we've had more pass attempts because of Jack's ability, which then allows more catches, whether they go to Gage or BP or Adner, whoever, that's to be determined. But I don't know if we had a quarterback that is at that level. We're probably not throwing it as many times. Now, maybe we're trying to find ways, but I think at the end of the day, it's a great combination. The two of them have worked out well together, right? It's just because we're throwing it a lot doesn't mean it just automatically goes to Gage. Like, you have to get open. You have to do the things that buy trust in a quarterback to throw it to you when there's not a lot of space, when it's third and short, whatever it might be, big plays. And so, I think everything goes hand in hand.
I guess on the flip side as well, the Gage has to get open too, or sometimes he doesn't and still makes the catch. But on him, he's still got to find a way to get open, knowing full well that he's getting the kitchen sink thrown at him every time.
He doesn't walk in any game and people are like, yeah, I don't really know who this guy is. No. He gets a lot of catches, and so he has the attention. And so I think that, but that's good at football. That's good at any sport, right? You've got Steph Curry. He's going to get shots. He's got to figure out a way to get open, get the ball, and then still make the shot. And so I think there's a lot of similarities. And so hopefully we can keep that going.
Look at you dropping basketball knowledge. I was not ready for that. I didn't know you were a great basketball mind.
I don't know if I know anybody besides Steph Curry. No, so I did develop a little bit of I played some basketball in my day, but spent some time last off season playing basketball with my daughters. I had a senior last year and an eighth grader that were playing, both of them. One was in their first year of basketball, the other second year. They're like, Dad, can you help us? I'm like, I don't know if these old bones help very much out there. And so in the winter, I found some time to play some 2-on-1, some 1-on-2 to try and get in there and defend. And you know what? I think my kids kind of took it as a free chance to throw elbows down in the block and beat Dad up a little bit. And so I limped out of every session, and they were happy leaving every session. So this year I only got one that I've got to play against. So hopefully I can hold my own against her.
What was your basketball traits on the floor? I'm dying to know that.
Well, at 6 foot, almost 1, was the tallest person on the team in California, which of course put me at point guard. But my lack of athleticism then put me at defending the post, so I didn't have to go out there. And so, I did a few things here or there, and was fortunate enough to to play when there's not very many people. You get a chance to play a little bit earlier. I actually loved basketball more than I liked football, because you could go in, you could play at any time, and there's not a lot to do maybe in Cavalier when I was growing up, but managed to have keys to get into the two places you could shoot, and then knew enough friends in the area that could get into the other gyms at the other small so you could find some pickup games and play some hoops and develop your craft more than one would imagine.
I was not expecting us going down that road. Who's Cavaliers' rival in basketball, at least in your day? Who was it?
Oh, back in the day. Well, I remember getting our butt whooped by Mayville, Portland, Clifford Gales.
Okay.
We were dominant. Hillsborough got us a couple times. I know ended probably our best season where we had a chance. I grew up always wanting to get to the state B tournament. That was our vacation every year for my first 18 years of my life. That's where we were, and we loved the B and wanted to get there as a Beezer. And we got a couple of games away from getting there, and it didn't happen, but that's okay.
That's good stuff. I got an email here to ask you to ask Coach Laqua about recruiting and how that's changed now with the early signing period in Division I. We've talked about this, that everything has moved up for you guys as well, that you have more commitments now. I don't know, maybe this is accurate for 2026 class than you've ever had before, correct?
Absolutely. We're ahead. I think we're at 26 or something. Wow. Recruit. You look at, you're maybe going between 30 and 35 a year. You're in a great spot. There's still some to figure out. The crazy thing is, and I don't want to run out of time, but the crazy thing is in January, Division II is voting on does all 5 years and apply. And if so, it goes into play right away. So you've got guys like Brady Perryman, who are a senior but didn't redshirt. If this thing passes in January, he could come back next fall. And so it's kind of like COVID. You don't know what seniors are leaving to open and recruit for. And so now we're at this point, we're a little bit in a holding pattern of, who's going to come back, who's not. Yeah. Had the bye week to talk about it a little bit with some of the guys, but I know that a lot of them aren't going to decide until the season's done. And then you don't know for sure until then. So you got to play your odds and play the best guesses and putting your roster together and see what happens. So it's going to get crazy, I think, at some point here. I don't know when. So
senior day could be kind of weird then in a couple of weeks.
It is a little bit weird. Bye week, we had a couple of guys say, hey, you know what? I'm graduating. I need to move on to a job. We have some guys. I think they're going to go through senior day, because you don't want to miss it. You can't bank on the fact that this thing's going to pass. And so you might have a second senior day next year, but hey, we're going to, senior day, we'll enjoy those seniors. We're going to treat them as seniors for now, and we'll figure it out when it's all said and done.
Have you picked the movie yet for the bus trip? We know, or not yet?
Yeah.
What do you got?
I have the movie. So it's interesting. We're, they've got a blackout for their deal, and they're going into the bank that's undefeated. And so, we've got some things that we're going to have to put those themes together, and so we'll hopefully come up with something, and I'll have some cryptic things that go out there in Wednesday's team meeting. Those keys to victory and clues will be out there, and hopefully we can take that onto our persona and go out there and perform how we want. You know what? It's going to be a big stage, and we got to make sure that we play well with the bright lights.
Great stuff as always, bud. Appreciate the time. Safe travels and good luck on Saturday night, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
We'll see you next week. There you go. Steve Laqua joining us, MSU head football coach. Dragons at 5-2. Northern State at 5-2. Good one Saturday. That's not the only big football game in South Dakota. Not the Dakota Marker game in Brookings. It's a biggie going on in Aberdeen. That stadium is fantastic. If anybody's ever been down to Aberdeen and seen it, it's really, really nice. One of the better Division II stadiums you'll have, and the Dragons will be in for a big one there with Northern on Saturday night. We'll take our final break. We come back. We got our Eliminator update since we're done with the NFL for the week, and get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. Hot Mike will wrap right after this.